Hey y'all, it's Ryan. Here's a quick overview of what session 10 looks like. Session 10 is all about evoking emotions through our digital storytelling. So if you want to read through the overview, that'd be great. The essential question is, how do authors use digital storytelling techniques to evoke emotions in our audience? And there's really two parts of this. Part of it is your words. The other part is the video, the imagery and the transitions and the elements that we layer in our digital story can be very powerful. So, for example, I really challenge you the next TV show or movie you watch, pay special attention to things like the music. The music is a really powerful tool to evoke emotions in an audience. So, these are going to be tools in our toolbox that we can use to elicit the intended emotions from our audience that we'd like. So, here's how we're going to do it. We're going to revisit the story Little Things Are Big with a very specific lens, or like we're going to be looking very specifically at emotions. So instead of typing your answers in your own document that no one else sees, what Molly and I thought was we can click here and we can have a common document that everyone can edit and work on. So here's what it looks like. The video is right here if you want to click on it. And basically what we want you to do is to identify two parts in the story that really like kind of hit you emotionally, make you think of something or bring up some emotion in you, whatever that is. So I gave you my example here. So in the first column, just tell us approximately what time in the story it was. So like my first one was 30 seconds to about 35 seconds. The next column is paraphrase or just type out the quote, the words that stuck out to you. Could be a sentence or two. Keep it pretty brief. Also, it could be an image or it could be both. So that's why I added quote and or image there. So for example, for me, the first one that really stuck out to me was when he was kind of like painting the picture of like a very quiet late night empty subway. And so it was those words, but more so it was some of the imagery of just like a single person sitting in an empty car, a train car, or like the train rushing by. And then the analysis, the way that that connected to me, like the emotion that that brought up for me, I typed it out here, but basically it just made me think of this time I was walking in a subway station and these two guys kind of started like kind of converging on me, like kind of coming towards me. And it was pretty quickly apparent to me that they were going to mug me. So I tried to get out of there as quickly as I could, and there wasn't anyone around, and it was scary. And I have the privilege of not really have to worry much about my physical safety. So that was a moment where I was like in a subway station late night in a place where people get mugged quite commonly. And that's what that brought up for me. My other example is just like I can relate to that woman handling a bunch of kids in bags and stuff. I do that all the time. I wrote a situation here about like trying to get off the train to go to the airport and all of our stuff, our bags, and that's the thing that most closely reminds me of that. Or I have other situations where like a few months ago I was at the grocery store and I have like both my kids, both my daughters, they're 1 and 2, a full shopping cart of stuff, and like someone's got to go to the bathroom, and I'm just like, okay, what do I do? Like, where do I leave my cart? I can't bring my cart out. I leave my cart out. I bring like both girls into the men's room. It's just like figuring it out, like trying to figure those things out, and being kind of like the emotion for me is just being kind of stressed. Like, okay, let me think through this thing. Or even just today, we were out on a walk and my older daughter's on her bike and she's far ahead and I'm getting a little nervous. She's too far away and Bernie's pulling and my little daughter's like fell and I'm just like, ah. So anyway, those are like whatever kind of connects to you, jot it down there in the analysis. Just like one, two, three sentences. And that is that. Next, consider the images in the script and reference the evoking emotions. So that's this document here. So if you want to like kind of go through, this is a helpful, instead of watching the video, it kind of has stills of all the images, and it can help you more easily identify like the images that you want to talk about. So basically, do your best to answer some of these questions here in these boxes. What emotions did you feel? Yada, yada, yada. What are some of the ways? So just do your best to really analyze like what were the tools that this storyteller used in his words and in his video. And then the next part is about an emotion wheel. So now we want to pivot. We want to turn to your story. So basically, use the emotion wheel and what you observed in the mini lesson to identify 2 to 3 emotions you aim to provoke in your audience. So any good story is going to evoke some emotions. Hopefully, hopefully more than one. So we have this tool here for you to use and really dial into the language that you want to use. So the inner part are kind of the more like generic and simple words. And then when you get to the outer part of the wheel, those are going to be the more kind of specific terms. Um, so, for example, I'm thinking of my story, and I would go to the orange part, fearful. Um, and I guess I would say I was scared and threatened. And then if I go to the outer part of the wheel, I might have felt kind of exposed, like I'm sorry for the tilt. Like I was just like alone and I didn't have anyone around. Or the situation with my kids, it might be like anxious and overwhelmed or worried, like worried that my daughter's too far away. So use this tool to help you kind of like dial in on what exact emotions do you want to go for, and then connect that to a specific part in your story. And then explain how you aim to convey that. What strategy do you hope um, to use to get these emotions across to your viewer? This part looks simple, but it's tricky. It takes some deep thinking. So this may be something you may want to like pause and like go back to your assignment on after you think about it for a little while. And then last thing, we have a quick exit ticket, and you'll find that in Google Classroom. I hope this helps. If you guys have any questions, please come to office hours, or you can always email Molly or I.